Okay, I'm inside the Antalya Museum, so we're going to see some ancient history. So this first section is all natural history and prehistory. The Old Stone Age. In other words, the beginning of time for mankind. This sign is written from an evolutionary perspective. So they used these kinds of tools, which were made out of stones. See some diagrams on how they used stones and things for tools, like a hammer and chisel. Here we've got some fossils. The Neolithic Age or New Stone Age. These tools were further developed. Long, thin, sharp blades were made from flint and obsidian. Other characteristics of this period were polished axes, mace heads, pointed arrow and spear tips, rough handmade poetry, windmill and grinding stones, and various tools made of bone. Neolithic, 550 BC. I don't know what he's saying, but it sounds pretty interesting. I guess we'll come back here later. Early Bronze Age. First use of copper and alloy. More Bronze Age drinkware. Okay, now we're back in this cool room. This diagram shows the history of the Antalya region as it progressed through different time periods. The picture of that saintly looking man is St. Nicholas. Yes, the St. Nicholas, who's from Myra. This is an early Bronze Age cemetery. These little canisters and tubes. This is the Geometric Age. This is a cothon, a type of perfume, water, or oil container. These little guys that almost look like toys are figurines, which were made to serve as offerings, dedications to the ancient gods that the people believed in. Archaic Classic Age. Water and wine find was mixed in these big containers called craters. This vessel is a baby bottle. Here is a Roman age casserole dish. How would you like to cook food in this? And this is a Roman age chamber pot, a toilet. This statue of Attis was found in ancient Perga. The following pictures are of ancient Perga, referenced in Acts chapter 13. Here are some findings from the ancient city of Patara. St. Nicholas Church. Yes, the St. Nicholas. Dionysus' head. Barnabas they called Zeus, and Paul they called Hermes because he was the chief speaker. Acts chapter 14 verse 12. In Acts chapter 19, Paul went to Ephesus, where there was a riot. The people began shouting, "Great is Artemis of the Ephesians!" And when they had preached the word in Perga, they went down to Antalya. Acts 14, verse 25. And here are some coins from the Archaic and Classical ages from 640 BC to 330 BC. The figures on the coins were the heads of gods and the symbols of them on the other side. Philip II and his son Alexander the Great were the first ones to mint a series of coins toward the end of the Classical Age. Alexander the Great. Coins with Alexander the Great's inscription and his father Philip. Coins of the Roman Empire from 30 BC to 498 AD. A key term here is denarius. Denarius is referenced in Matthew 20, verse 2, and John 12:5, a day's wage. These are the Caesars whose inscription were on the Roman coins. Caesars Augustus, Tiberius, and Herod Agrippa were mentioned in the Gospels and the book of Acts. In Luke chapter 2, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. That Roman world would have included what is now modern-day Turkey. Constantine legalized Christianity, and in the East Roman age from 491 to 1453 AD, some of the coins actually depicted Christ, Mary the mother of Jesus, and the saints. And here are some Ephesian coins, which of course is referenced in Acts and Ephesians in the New Testament. These coins were minted between 206 and 205 BC. On one side is a picture of the goddess Athena, and on the other side, a picture of Nike holding a victory wreath in her hand. These coins have athletes' pictures on them of wrestlers on one side, and on the other side an athlete throwing from a sling. These symbolize the athletic games held at the end of the 5th century BC. These paintings are called icons, which were made in order to teach religion to the people in the ritual of the Orthodox Christian Church. The birth of Jesus, circumcision, entrance into the temple, the baptism, entry into Jerusalem, interview with a lady from Samaria, the Samaritan woman, treatment and healing of a blind man, the Ascension, the Last Supper, the foot washing, the crown of thorns, the way to Golgotha, and the crucifixion. Range 2 is Saints Nicodemus and Leontios, the descent into hell, in the tomb, the resurrection, the Pentecost, the ascension of the Virgin Mary, the Last Judgment, and Sacred Fountain. This third row, this long range, is the frieze of Jesus and the 12 apostles. The fourth range is John the Baptist with Holy Bible, John the Baptist conducting the baptism, side wing of iconostasis, Jesus, Virgin Mary and the child Jesus, the Gospel. Saint Nicholas was a religious man who lived in Anatolia. No detailed information is available concerning the life of Saint Nicholas, as is the case with many other lives of early saints. It has been reported that Saint Nicholas was born at Patara in the last years of the 3rd century AD, and it was where he passed his years as a young man until he was assigned as a priest to the city of Myra. The Apostle Paul stayed for a while at Patara, which gave importance to the city of Patara for being one of the cities mentioned in the Holy Bible. In this section it is reported that at the end of their journey, the Apostle Paul and his friend Luke, on their 3rd missionary expedition, stayed at Patara when they returned from Miletus on their way to Jerusalem, and probably transferred to a larger ship at Patara. Today, Patara is a city in ruins, but it was a rich, developed, and prosperous city when St. Nicholas was born there, and it is indicated that he lived during the reign of Emperor Constantine at the end of the 3rd century or the start of the 4th century. Many churches were constructed in his name after his death in Europe. Oil lamps. Something like this is probably what Jesus was talking about in the parable of the 10 virgins in Matthew 25. These artifacts were made in Constantinople, which is now Istanbul, in the period of Justinian I, 527 to 565 AD. These artifacts were excavated from the sea shipwrecks. This is a facade from the ancient city of Perga, the 2nd century AD, and a part of the monumental fountain building of Aurelia Paulina. Perga, 195 to 204 AD. And when they had preached the word in Perga, they went down to Antalya. Acts 14, verse 25. It was Anatolian burial tradition to use this lion above the casket. The lion is extinct in Anatolian lands nowadays. It used to live in the region in ancient periods. The figure of the lion lying on the lid, holding a bull's head under its paw, represents a guard or guardian, as well as representing victory over the enemy, victory over death and immortality, strength, courage, and endurance of the tomb owner. Victory over death. Who does that remind you of? Could that be a reason why Jesus is sometimes called not just the lamb, but also the lion? Could that be what inspired C.S. Lewis to create the Aslan character as a lion? So here I am outside of the Antalya Museum. Really interesting. Lots of ancient history, even some mention of Jesus and the apostles, and a little bit of St. Paul and St. Nicholas. St. Nicholas actually was born not too far from here. And just some interesting history of prehistoric, historic, and even first century history. Very neat.